That's the motherfucking Bugatti. Yo, for you YouTube motherfuckers, man, you're not doing nothing until you get this to the motherfucking Bugatti, yo. I get from the front right there. I gotta sit upside down, bro. You know, let's switch that shit. That shit is ridiculous, yo. That shit is crazy. Ugh. You know, I don't be on machines like that. That shit is crazy right there. Oh, look at the motherfucking shit closer like the Bugatti. That shit is ridiculous. Fuck that. Fuck that Murcielago. Fuck that shit. Goddamn.